What are you eating?
Maffey's food.
No? Is it good?
Turkey.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you gonna buy?
No.
No, I'm just gonna...
No, this is my sandwich.
No, I'm just gonna take the whole thing. I'm just gonna take the... No, but I want to eat it. But...
That you know, and they ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
That's a good shot.
Okay.
I like that. You put hot sauce on that? Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
And mute the phone.
I know, I always mute the phone.
Oh.
But this is casual. I'm gonna leave it unmuted. You mad?
No.
I am very mad.
Let me feel your knee. You have a... Wow, your knee is really nice.
Thanks. I've been told I have nice knees.
Okay.
I've been told many times I have nice knees.
Yeah.
They're very malleable.
Malleable.
Not the knee cap, but my knee's ability to bend. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, it's important.
It's really, like, soft.
Really?
Wow.
Soft? Like
Okay.
my knee's soft?
Yeah. These are really soft jeans.
Oh, sorry! Didn't see you there! This episode's sponsored by Joe Biden, running for the 2020 presidency. Looking out for you, Uncle Joe!
So, about 5 minutes ago... Yeah, you mentioned something about Joe Biden. What's going on? What did he do? Why is he in the news today?
Well, as of the time of this recording, there are, I believe, 3 or 4 women who have come out allegedly saying that, not that Joe Biden has specifically sexually assaulted them, per se, but it's very uncomfortable touching. Ironically, one of my friends on Facebook shared a link with me, and it was joebiden.info. Sponsor us! So I wanted to read a little bit about good old Uncle Joe Biden, our previous vice president.
Okay.
Uncle Joe is back and ready to take a hands-on approach.
A hands-on
approach to America's problems. Joe Biden has a good feel for the American people and knows exactly what they really want deep down. He's happy to open up and reveal himself to voters, and will give a pounding to anybody who gets in his way. By the way, a majority of the images, I'm going to show you some of these pictures here, of good old Joe. Now,
what is he doing there?
Well, that girl's
look
like,
how uncomfortable
but
she
she's
looks.
like 14. There's nothing wrong with good old Joe. Good old Uncle Joe.
He went to kiss her and she pulled back?
No, Dan, no, he didn't go to kiss her. That's so wrong. He went to smell her hair. There's a complete difference in smelling a 14-year-old
I don't know what's
worse. Well, okay, what about this one? What about this one where he tries to kiss a little boy right on the lips? How do you feel about that? Dan, what are you looking at my phone in that? You're judging him. You're judging him. How dare you?
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Sure.
So there are parents that kiss their children on the mouth, and when they say goodbye and greet and stuff like
Absolutely.
that, and that's like a cultural thing.
Emphasis on the word parents.
Yeah.
Not Uncle Joe Biden.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's perpetuating the same actions over and over again. What about this one, Dan? Does this one make you feel uncomfortable? How he puts his hand on this young girl's face multiple times for some reason?
Why?
Multiple times. I mean, you know.
Even everyone's looking at him like,
this one's not as weird. This one kind of just looks a little bit weird.
Where is this compilation coming from? What is this? This is a link to his info that people have compiled?
Well, yes, essentially. This is essentially a website that some person has created to kind of spread the word about how Joe's really ready to give a pounding to anybody who's going to stand in America's way. But what about this? What about this little girl who he's just there's his hand and he's just kind of letting it hang there. Now here's the response.
That is not okay.
Dan, you think that's not okay?
Tyler's got to jump in and help me out here. Like, I'm getting nervous. What is going on? Okay, why have we? Okay, so let me ask you this: why are we only hearing about this now?
Well, here's the funny thing, Dan. I've seen a couple of these images back in the last election in 2016.
Okay.
I'm very fond of good old Uncle Joe. I've seen plenty of these images and GIFs and videos and WebMs of this specific, repeated, particular actions mainly done to people who are female and mainly done to people who are younger than the age of consent.
Yeah.
So the point being, the response, the reason I'm bringing this up is the response from the left, the response from Democrats, and just to preface this, we are discussing this during the time when a lot of these allegations are currently coming out. The left and the Democrats' response to a couple of these women coming out and saying, I felt kind of inappropriately touched.
In a way, these short images you have shown me are, or could be, potentially related to these allegations. I mean,
absolutely.
It's not. It does. I'm saying it doesn't help his situation that these women are coming out with these allegations while these gifs exist of him doing these things, and it sucks.
You mean being a compassionate man? Because that's what the Democrats say. That's what Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, the Secretary of State. I believe, right? Secretary of State? Is she Secretary of State? I'm ignorant. The Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. Okay, she came out and she defended good old Uncle Joe by saying, no, look, I know Joe Biden. He's just a very compassionate man. But Dan, I would like to bring up, there were at least 6 images that I just showed you, correct? Of you know, maybe not necessarily full-on sexual assault or anything of those of that nature, but
indicators of.
Well, it's pretty much 2 prevailing things. One is you can agree that the touching is weird, in a weird way. It's in a weird sense. It's just strange. But the other is the reactions of the people being touched. They don't fully look like they're comfortable.
Agreed. And this is a very important thing. So we talk about compassionate touching, like, oh, like, how's it going, buddy? Like, you and I can touch each other and even fool around with each other, like push or shove here and there, because we're friends.
We're very comfortable.
And we're close.
Yeah, we're brothers, essentially.
So I can touch you in a way I cannot touch, a stranger on the street. Absolutely. Or I could touch Tyler in a way that I can't, with other people.
Great point.
So when you have him doing this
on camera
to people that which I'm assuming he probably met within the week, met within the day, they look like a lot of either supporters or
some of them are friends of the family. Some of them people he's known for a really long time. Some of them are people that he just met. So that's kind of where the line is blurred, because it's not just for people who are very close with him. It's for people who are very new to having good old Uncle Joe coming up smelling like piss, touching and smelling. And,
I don't know what he smells like. But.
Look, the guy's like 75 years old. Like, there's no way he doesn't smell. You got a grandpa? I got a grandpa. Sometimes they don't smell the best. That's all I'm saying. So you got Uncle Joe, and he's coming up smelling your hair. Oh, you're such a good kid. You're such a good kid. So here's the response.
All right, what's the response?
So here's the response. The Democrats' response, because of course Joe Biden is now running for the 2020 presidency.
I'm running for the presidency.
I'm
Joe Biden.
I'm running from a lot of problems. I'm willing to take you. Just give me all of your energy.
It's weird though, because people talk about Joe Biden as like a really likable, friendly guy, almost someone like you would just want to hang out with.
Right.
And you even see him like in his references in Parks and Rec. The character Leslie Knope, played by Amy Poehler. She loves him in the show. That character loves the guy and thinks he's a good guy, which I feel a lot of people do today.
Right.
So I'm wondering now, what effect is this going to have on the people that like him?
Right.
And
that's a great point. I think. Go ahead.
So to finish, it's almost like they could either kind of look the other way or claim that it's not weird, or they might not like it one bit.
Yeah. Well, the fact that there are a bunch of women who are coming out saying, I felt very inappropriately kind of compassionately touched by Joe Biden. Nobody's coming out saying that it has been necessarily sexual assault, which is kind of the silver lining in the whole situation. But with that being said, the bigger issue here is that, and this is the point I'm bringing it up, is it goes to show the hypocrisy that's in politics right now. And I'll give you a perfect example. You and I are fairly independent politically on the spectrum.
Yeah, moderate,
I would say.
very moderate.
Very moderate.
Yeah.
Now, when I witnessed the Brett Kavanaugh hearings a few months back, where Blasey Ford, Dr. Blasey Ford, came out and accused him of sexual assault at a party that happened 40 years ago, had no evidence to corroborate, had no points, had no information that she could give. Most of her, if not all of her responses in the court were, I don't know, wishy-washy, wishy-washy. This was one woman who came out, okay? And the media's response, which has been absolutely linked to the Democrats and the left. That's why they call it the liberal media these days. The left's response was to bash this man into oblivion and say that he was a rapist, his entire family was targeted, his children were targeted, his life was really made far more difficult than it had to be, and what's even worse is that he was trying to be appointed for a position that needed to be filled in the American government. And so the point I'm bringing up, and the reason I'm bringing up this story is because, to get to the point, Brett Kavanaugh's situation is not too far off from Joe Biden's. The only one degree of difference really being that Brett Kavanaugh was accused of sexual assault. But there's no evidence that was corroborated. That's why nothing ever came out of that situation. Now, whether or not that happened, I can't say. But seeing as how there was no evidence, I like to think that evidence is kind of the whole point, right? So, with that being said, to get to the point, the Democrats in this situation are saying, no, these women are just blowing this completely out of proportion. These women are blowing this out of the water. It's unfair to attack Joe Biden. He's a good man, yada, yada, yada. Well, you can't do both. You can't have the Me Too movement and believe all women, and that was the figure point for why people should believe Dr. Blasey Ford.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, because she's a woman. Because why would a woman lie about this? And I'm not saying that she did. What I'm saying is you can't play both sides. If there are women that are coming out, then you need to stop being a hypocrite, and you need to say, no, we have to believe these women, because that's the rhetoric that we push consistently and constantly on every situation that comes through. You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
Yeah, even when that whole case came out, I didn't follow much of what the media was saying about it, but I did actually listen to a little bit of each hearing, and like that woman, like I have no doubt that that something very bad happened to her, because she was like really upset and shook by the whole thing. And on the other side of it, like you were saying, you know, they were bashing him the whole time, and some people had his back and whatnot.
Yeah, and the only point I'm bringing up is I'm not saying whether or not I believe that Dr. Blasey Ford was or was not sexually assaulted. The point I'm bringing up is we chose to believe her statement because this was a woman who seemed very battered in a sense, and she had gone through a lot of mental trauma from what it seems, and we believed one woman because of what she said with no corroborating evidence. Now we have plenty of evidence that there is very strange, inappropriate touching with visceral reactions of people being uncomfortable, and there's documented evidence of this. It's not only just the people's word, it's documented evidence. And yet we're just supposed to sit here and say, oh no, he's a good guy because the TV says so. No, I disagree with that.
And the issue, I think, is it's not just Joe Biden. There's definitely something going on in society where these women and even men, young men, I'm sure, are being affected by it. Prime example, at work recently, this girl works in the front of house of the establishment. I work in the back, and she's like, yeah, a customer was just came up to me and was like, oh, like your hair's so nice, like you're so pretty. An older gentleman, like probably 60 or 70 years
Your
old.
old Uncle Joe.
Exactly, and same age, and he says, oh, like to her, oh, like do you like pizza? Like let me bring you pizza like one day or whatever. And to me, like it's a nice, like. That could be a nice gesture, of course. Yeah, but
it's kind of like a nice gesture that's masked with hidden intention.
Exactly, I completely agree with that, and like that is not okay. Right, one bit.
Right, I agree with that, especially if she's fairly younger, probably 40 or 50 years younger from the way it sounds. Yeah, that's just kind of strange, and unless. It's completely up to the woman if she's in her mid or early 20s, or even late teens, 18, 19. And she wants to be with like a 60-year-old man. If that's what she likes, that's what she likes. She likes good old Joe, whatever. Generally speaking, that's not the way it normally works. So I think that you brought up a great point.
You don't got a older woman in your life that you like?
Too many.
I'm making it. Yeah.
Too many older women. They don't leave me alone. Stop calling me. You know who you are.
They're definitely watching.
Yeah,
You'll send this.
No,
They probably won't be.
I have a
telling you
restraining order. I can't send anything to anyone.
Okay.
I'm really joking. It's a joke. I think you brought up a great point, which is there's a big difference between somebody who's an older gentleman like Joe Biden and going up to somebody who may be a very attractive young woman and saying, "Oh, you know, you're very, very pretty," you know, and just giving them a natural compliment, like, you know, "Oh, you know, you're very beautiful, and I just wanted to let you know that," or how are you doing? Are you doing okay? You know, you have a very beautiful smile. Something like that, where it's very genuine and it doesn't come off as creepy. I feel as though there are certain women who, if they were to receive those compliments, they would kind of overreact. There's a difference between being hit on and getting complimented. But when it goes to that extreme, where it's like, hey, let me take you out and buy you some pizza, it's like, why?
Yeah.
You're weird.
Well, like, what are your intentions?
What are your
I'm
intentions?
just like, you come to you come to this establishment for food or whatever it might be, or a product, or even in retail, and then your intention changes once you realize there's like a pretty girl behind the counter. Like, that's not okay, you know?
Yeah.
Stick to whatever the hell you were doing, you know, buy your thing and then get out,
right.
you know?
Right. I can give you a perfect example. I recently got a haircut, obviously, and I went to the barber shop, and there was this brand new woman. She'd been working there for roughly about a month. Very attractive young woman. She was probably maybe a year, 2, 3, maybe older than myself.
Okay.
And we started getting into a conversation. I did not right off the bat. Now, did I think she was beautiful? Yeah, I did. I was like, wow, this is nice. Internally, I'm thinking to myself, this is nice. A pretty girl's cutting my hair, because I'm a man. And generally, that's kind of how it is. But I didn't say anything like that because the comment is unneeded. It's unnecessary.
Exactly.
She and I, as you do when you go to a barbershop, she and I started having a conversation a little bit. We started discussing social media and how there are a lot of different factors that are contributing, you know, young girls and even young boys to feel insecure. And one of the things she said was, well, sometimes, you know, I feel insecure, but I just have to remind myself that I'm a beautiful person inside now. And I followed that up by saying, yeah, you shouldn't feel insecure. You're very pretty. And she said, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That is very different.
That is really different.
Because that's very different, because I'm complimenting her based on something that she said, and I'm reassuring you don't need to feel insecure.
And on top of that, it wasn't just it wasn't a straight shot to, oh, like, you're pretty or something like that.
Yeah.
Instead, there was a conversation that came before that that kind of led into that. And it's the same way when you give somebody a compliment.
Yeah.
For example, like, if I want to tell a girl she's pretty, I'll tell her she's pretty. I'll be like, oh, you look really nice today, or you know, if they have like a nice perfume on, I'll be like, oh wow, like, that smells good, like, what is it? But I'll follow it up with a question, oh, like, what is that? Or what are you, or something else, you know, that's not related to the look itself.
Right, because everything is contextual. To your point, it's all contextually based.
Yeah.
So the conversation beforehand and the conversation afterhand is important.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That's the point I'm trying to make.
If there's no preface beforehand, you just go up and you compliment a woman randomly, internally she's going to be thinking, what does this guy want?
Well, yeah.
And obviously her mind's going to go to the one thing that more than likely that guy probably wants. But it also depends on after the context too, because when I said you shouldn't feel insecure, you're very pretty, and now all I said was that basic, I said it that simply, she looked at me and she smiled and she said, thank you, I appreciate that. And I said, yeah, no problem. And then we continued on with the conversation. I didn't follow that up with, you're really pretty, let me take you out for dinner. It would have been very inappropriate. And not only that, but I didn't want to take her out to dinner. It wasn't that she wasn't my type or anything. It's just there wasn't some kind of magical connection, and that's something that I look for. It's not just based off of looks. All I was doing was reassuring her. Had she not said the insecurity thing, I wouldn't have even brought it up. It wouldn't have even became a topic. Luckily, though, I've learned how to have these types of communication with women in that sense, where you just have to be very calm about it. And if you want to compliment them, that's fine, but don't be weird, don't be creepy, don't follow it up with some kind of intention that you're looking for, because that's just inappropriate and rude. And I feel as though there are
especially if she says, oh, like, thank you for the compliment, and then does not say anything to you, because that is a indicator, okay, she took your compliment, now, like,
next topic,
yeah, like, that's it.
And I feel as though there are older gentlemen, especially older gentlemen, although I have had experiences with older women, not, you know, like, that's actually not a joke, where, and I'll tell this story in a second, but I have had experiences, or I've seen experiences with these older gentlemen. I feel as though they just get so old to a point where they're like, you know what, like, screw it. I'm just going to try. I'm going to push my luck. I'm going to see how far I can get, because if I ask 100 young girls, maybe one of them will give me a kiss or something. But when you really think about it, does a 70-year-old man really need to be focusing on that type of external happiness?
Shouldn't lie there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really should not lie there. I'm not saying that old people can't make love. But what I am saying is that there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah,
and your time has kind of passed a while ago. You know what I mean? So or at least go after women your own age. Because I guarantee you, if that older gentleman, no matter how Joe Biden creepy he was, if he were to go up to a woman who was about his same age and said the same thing, she would have definitely taken it as a compliment, because older women don't get as many compliments as younger women. Mm-hmm. It's just a fact, because they're not as physically attractive. It's just the truth. So I think overall that if you're going to do that, do it, but stay within your boundaries. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So where does this go now with Joe Biden? Like, what we kind of know what the Democrats are saying.
Yes.
And, like,
It's ridiculous when you think about it that there are men who are doing this, of course, but men have always been kind of doing these types of things throughout history. Yeah. But what we're really seeing now are that, and this is my personal opinion, there are these women who are coming out, and not saying that these things did not happen to them. I'm saying that once a woman comes out, the narrative of whether or not we should believe them has become political. It's not based off of the evidence or the facts or the truth or anything. It has become a political narrative.
So and those are dangerous waters.
And it's very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. You can't do that. Ethically and morally, you really can't do that. But even beyond that, it's just worse from a perspective of kind of coming together and figuring out the problems and trying to tackle them, rather than trying to complain and point the finger. So that was ultimately the story I wanted to share with you. Although there is one more story I'll share with you. One time I went to a bar. I was like 21, 22 in college. I think I've told you this story. Mm-hmm. And there was an older woman, and I walked in with my roommate, and he was a couple years older than me, very good looking guy. And I walked into the bar, and this woman was sitting on the bar stool, and I could tell that she had taken off her wedding ring. She was very trash. She was probably like late 30s, early 40s. I would say early 40s. And my friend, there was only one seat available, and it was next to her, so my friend took it, and I stood. So my friend was sitting, and I was standing, and I was off to her side. He started talking with her. She turned to me and said, "Oh my gosh, like, you're so handsome. Look at this baby face. Oh my God." And she's very drunk. I can tell she's intoxicated.
Of course.
And so she looks at me, and she says something along the lines of, "How would you like to get lucky tonight?" And I said, "No, thank you." And it wasn't because she was unattractive. It was because I felt like there were some intentions here, because I was under the impression that she probably was married. She kept talking about how she was going through a divorce and everything else, but I didn't believe it, because it just seemed very fishy.
Okay.
And I didn't want to perpetuate anything. It wasn't as though she was unattractive, although I did not find her attractive. Yeah. But it came down to more so her personality. And eventually what she did was, she said, I would love to get a kiss from one of you boys. And my roommate, who was in a joking way, not thinking that she's serious, thinking that she's just drunk and stupid, said, "Oh, well, you should kiss Matt." And so she literally grabbed my face and tried to kiss me. Luckily, this is a 40-year-old woman, and I was a 20-year-old man, and I didn't have to really try hard to just kind of like pull away.
Yeah.
But
that would have made me very uncomfortable. I had a similar experience in a bar as well. I was visiting a friend away at school, and I believe at this point they went off to go dance, and I just wanted to, like, I was just at the bar having more drinks, and this girl, as I'm like, I got my drink and I'm like walking away from the bar, this girl grabbed, like, I was very inebriated. I was drunk, but I was still with it a little bit, to know what was going on.
I've been there.
She grabs my wrist and, like, actually tries to, like, pull me out the door.
Yep.
And I felt very uncomfortable by it, and I was like, no. So I kind of, like, yanked myself away and, like, ran off to find my friends again.
It's funny you bring this up, and I maybe we'll end on this point, but why is it acceptable for women to do that?
No, it's not, though.
Why do they think that? It's not, and I completely agree. But why do they think that? Because I'll tell you something. Men definitely, and I could have my statistics wrong here, but last I checked, men definitely commit more sexual assaults in that sense to women rather than women to men. Not that women to men does not happen, because it definitely happens, and it's not talked about, and that's another topic for another day. But men definitely commit more of the sexually aggravated assaults. That's worldwide. That's global. So my question is, why is it perfectly acceptable for a woman in public to do something like that? Because generally when men are going about those types of evil actions, they do it in private.
You're right, and it almost makes me want to think and like stop and think, okay, like what if I instead in that situation, what if I was the guy doing that to a girl? And like that's no, like I would have got probably beat down or thrown out by the bouncer.
You would have gotten your ass kicked.
In fact, when the girl did that, the bouncer that is he runs the door there watched the thing happen and didn't do a thing.
They won't. They won't, because society accepts that kind of behavior.
I could already see how the story might go. Like, say he did grab her and throw her, then he might be the one to get in trouble. And you know what? It's just to the point where it's not okay for anyone to do this to either gender.
To touch somebody
inappropriately, forcefully,
uncomfortably, absolutely.
And it's regardless of age too. If you're Joe Biden, 70 years old, doing these things, it's not okay. If you are a 20-year-old woman, no, she was older than me. If you're
this man was our vice president.
If you're a 26-year-old woman doing this to, at the time I was like a 21-year-old man, like that's not okay. If you're a 40-year-old woman trying to kiss a 21-year-old guy, it is not okay.
No.
When there is force involved, it is not okay. If someone is uncomfortable, it is not okay.
Absolutely.
This is something that
we should know by now.
That we should not only know by now, but the fact that it's still going on means there's a problem and it needs to be fixed immediately.
Yes. Beautiful point. I think we can end on that.
Okay.
Moral of the story is, kids, don't touch anybody without consent. And even if they say that you can touch them, don't be Joe Biden. Because that's just f***ing weird.
Thanks for tuning in this week to Psycosmos. We really appreciate your view. If you can please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon, we appreciate it. It's Psycosmos for all of those, and just follow us, please. Please, Jeff, save me, Jeff.